Hello, my spectacles to desire is but the ghoul next door. Your favorite ghoul fiend. Hello, my spectacles to desire out of blood. The ghoul next door. Your favorite ghoul fiend. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a summer cold happening. Okay. Sorry. Today is episode 10 of my 2026 Halloween series, and the bingo card task for today is ranking a slasher franchise. Okay, I picked the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So this is segment 1. I've already taped segment 2, and that is a recipe inspired by one of the movies in the franchise. So let's get through this so you can go see me make a fool out of myself in the kitchen. Okay. So at the bottom of my list at number 9 would be Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 4, The New Generation. I've seen this movie twice. Once back in the 90s and once about a week ago. And no. I don't like it. I don't like Matthew McConaughey. I never have. I don't see the appeal. It doesn't feel like this movie fits with the rest of the series, but then again, it almost feels like the perfect bridge at the same time, from the comedy to the gore. But no, it's on the lowest rung on my ranking here. Number 8, and I'm going to hear a lot of complaints about this one. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've seen this a couple times over the decades, and yeah, I don't like it. It does what it's supposed to do. It is disturbing on so many levels, but I think it's the acting. The acting is not the greatest, and that really turns me off when it comes to a movie. If the acting is stiff, if it's like cardboard, then no. I have a hard time sitting through a movie that has really bad acting. And I know it was so controversial when it came out and in the early 80s and everything, but for maybe the time that it was done, with it being such a different thing at that time, but over the years, it's just never quite grabbed me. Number 7 would be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning. And this one is as low as it is simply because I have never seen an unedited version. I've only seen this one on television in an edited capacity, so I can't give it a fair shake. So that's why The Beginning is number 7 for me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Netflix version. This is number 6. And I have to say, from here onward, 1 through 6, I kept wanting to put them all I couldn't make them all tied. So I had to start. So for number 6 for me is the Netflix version of their remake. And I thought it was just such a brilliant idea to have these people show up at what's supposed to be a ghost town and kind of how they figure out they don't fit in. I love that idea. The acting wasn't too bad. The story is a fairly strong story, and I think when you have a fairly decent story, sometimes the acting can come a little bit easier for people. Number 5 would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with Bill Moseley and Dennis Hopper. I will talk a little more about this one in the second segment, but I'm a big Bill Moseley fan. I love Bill Moseley. Number 4, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake from 2023. That's when sorry. Sorry. That's when the gore kind of really came in, was with the remake. I think that the acting is a lot better. And I know a lot of people will say, well, it's, except for a couple of scenes, it's beat for beat with the original. But the acting is better. The acting is just better. Number 3, Leatherface. The one with Steven Dorff. I love the idea of a backstory. I love the character twist. You're following a group of characters and you think Leatherface is going to be character A when he's really character B. I love it. I love anything with Steven Dorff. He's amazing. Number 2, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. This is another one that I've seen a couple of times back in the 90s and recently. I tracked down the movies in the last 6 months as I knew I was going to be doing for the bingo card this year, ranking a slasher. And when I originally put that on the bingo card, I was thinking about the Scream franchise. And then AMC Canada, back in October, they had aired Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4. I had taped it and I let it just sit there for a while. Never quite got around to it because never got around to it. And then back in January, I watched the other Leatherface, the one with Steven Dorff. And I was like, no, I have to do this. This is the franchise I have to do. So over the last couple of months, I've been tracking them down. And part 3, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, which I have at number 2. It was the one that I had the hardest time tracking down. Like I said, I had seen it back in the 90s, in the early 90s, but I hadn't seen it in quite a few years. I finally found it in French on Crave. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just put on the subtitles. It'll be fine. The subtitles were in French too. No English option. But I still liked it, and I still liked it a little better than some of the others. Which brings us to number 1, and I'm going to get hate for this, but I don't care. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. I love this idea. I love the little through lines, the little nods as we meet the main character and you see she's a butcher and she works with bone art, and I just love that run through, that idea that the family ties are stronger than anything else. And again, we have Bill Moseley. He's only in there for a couple of minutes, but again, we have Bill Moseley. I know, a lot of fans are looking at me right now, screaming at the TV, going, what? What do you mean? But yeah. With that said, that's the rundown. I go into a little more detail with a couple of the movies in segment 2. So, and this is why I kind of wanted to have a second segment, because I knew this was going to be really short. But I have to admit, this was the hardest franchise ranking I've ever done, and I've done quite a few of them over the years on my letterbox as I watch movies. I had no problem doing my ranking for Nightmare on Elm Street. I had no problem doing ranking for my Star Trek. I had no problem doing rankings for my Rob Zombie, which I should plug that one again, my Rob Zombie rankings that I did last Halloween for Halloween 2025. And then a couple other franchises that I've done rankings on. But this one, I was actually surprised at how often I was like, no, let's put this one here. No, let's put this one here. No, let's put this one here. No, wait, we got to put this one here. I kept rearranging. I think I must have sat down yesterday and rearranged it again another like 3 times. So, all right, let's get on to segment 2, me making a fool of myself in the kitchen. Okay, so we're making chili inspired by that opening scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, where he wins the chili competition because of the meat that he's making. So I thought I'd make a chili, vegan, vegetarian, of course. Not quite vegan, because there will be cheese. So, all right, so I will be starting by making some of the veggie ground round. Okay, so this particular one, the Gardenia Supreme, says to cook it with the lid on. You're basically steaming it. You're basically steaming it. Okay, while that's going on, I've only got 2 cameras and 2 phones here, so I'm going to actually bring the close-up B-roll back over here while this is cooking. It is way too much on my tiny little... I've got about 2 feet. 2 feet of space here. So I've got my cutting board and both my little tripods with my cell phones, trying to do everything all at once. And okay, we're just gonna move that over here, and we're gonna move that over here, and we're gonna move that up there, and just move that there. Let's start with the celery. one sec. Those two can go. I put on some blue eyeshadow. I don't even think you can see it. It's supposed to be the same color that Leatherface wears in the first movie. That bluey purple. Okay. I will get into the hang of this setup, and we will get more cooking videos. Okay, so I'm doing this out of order. I'm cooking this recipe before I get around to the actual bingo card task. Before I actually get around to the bingo card task, hang on. Stove was having a little bit of an issue. Okay. You, in the video, my dear spud guns, my dear viewers, you've already seen the bingo card task in this video. But I have not, in the real world, gotten around to doing that task yet. I was going to make this for dinner, and I thought, this would fit perfectly as one of the first recipes for those of you who watched episode 1 of 2026's Halloween. You know that I am doing a recipe scrapbook connected to this year's Halloween Halloween adventures, the bingo card I'm doing. Hey, okay, hold on. Okay. All right, I'm now going to I'm going to drop everything on the floor. I'm going to put the celery into the meat mixture. Well, the veggie meat mixture. And I'm going to pick the stuff up off the floor that I just dropped. Oh! Let's see what kind of day it's going to be. Alright, we're going to chop up the mushrooms now. And I've already washed and wiped the mushrooms. Yes, I'm one of those people who believes you wash your mushrooms. So, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Boy, I really need a bigger kitchen. I remember in the 80s how controversial that movie was. The first Texas Chainsaw. And for a movie that is literally bloodless, it sure is disturbing. That's what makes it so scary, is the fact that it is disturbing. But it was part 2. I'm going to put the mushrooms in now. It was part 2 that really got the popular fan base. And I remember growing up, my best friend, one sec. Okay, so growing up, my best friend, her 2 favorite movies were the, getting hot in here already, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and Night of the Living Dead 2. So every time I would go over there, one of those 2 movies were on. I think I have seen both those movies, must be close to 50 times, but not completely. I think I've only seen them both completely maybe 5 times in 40 years, but I have seen bits and pieces and bits and pieces of both Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and Night of the Living Dead 2. Just because every time I went over there, one of those movies was on. And her brother's favorite movie was Jaws. So I've seen quite a bit, again, bits and pieces of Jaws. I honestly have to say, I hadn't seen all of Jaws all the way through until about 2 years ago when it came on TV for the anniversary. But I had seen bits and pieces of it so often. I don't know, this onion's feeling a little slimy, a little soft. Well, I hope it's not bad. What's your favorite of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies? It's like, is 2 my favorite? I don't know. I'm sure by this point in the video you'll know which one is my favorite because, like I said, I'm doing the recipe before I go and do the first half of this. Okay. And why am I doing the recipe first? Like I said, I was going to make chili for dinner. I had watched part 2 about a month ago, and I was wanting to do some sort of recipe for it. So I thought chili would be perfect. One more sec. Only using half the onion, so I wanted to put the rest of the onion away for another time. I finished doing a cooking video, a few days ago, but I'm planning on having this one out first. Honestly, the other video went so smoothly. Today, I don't know, man. Also, while I was doing the other cooking video, I was talking about a movie, and that was kind of the movie review while I was doing the recipes, so I wasn't kind of lacking for conversation. Right now, I'm kind of lacking for conversation. Okay, I'm about to put the onion into the pot. get a shot of that in a minute. And I have to say, I turned the pot off once I got the veggie meat started, because I don't want it to overcook, to burn. And at the same time, I really don't want it any hotter in here than it needs to be. This apartment is so hot today. Okay, so you can see I've got the veggie meat, or the veggie ground round, the onion and celery and the mushrooms. It's turned off at the moment. I want to finish chopping up the rest of the ingredients before I turn it back on. Okay, I keep forgetting when I turn things on and off here. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is chop up the tomatoes. This one's getting a little soft. Chili was one of the first things I kind of ever learned to make. And there's a story behind that, which has nothing to do with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I never understood that one, though. A dog's gotta hunt. I never quite understood why he screams that out. So random. So random. Funny. It was moments like that in the movie that made it so popular back in the 80s. Okay, let's get this first tomato in there. I've got 2 more tomatoes here. I don't know if I'm going to need all that. I've also got some tomato paste as well. I honestly don't know if I'm going to need all of that. One might even do. I think I might put the other 2 tomatoes back into the fridge for another recipe. I'm all over the board this morning here with and I just got tomato down in the burner. Wonderful. Wonderful. We're gonna have so many edits in this video today. Nothing's going smoothly. Okay, I've already washed my pepper. I don't remember what I was talking about. Chopped up Mosley, yes. So, I had seen all of the first 4 movies back in the late 80s, early 90s. Of course, in the last couple of years, I've been watching as they've been released. when part 2 had come out, I remember it was kind of like a really big deal that it was a big deal that Dennis Hopper was in it. I'm taping, right? This is not going to be cohesive storytelling today at all. Another reason I am doing this segment before I do the actual Halloween bingo segment is because I have one more movie to watch. Yes, I have seen them all. As I said, I've seen bits and pieces of part 2 on multiple occasions. I have seen the last 5. The one that was on Netflix, the remake, the one with Stephen Dorff. I dropped something else. The ones that have come out in the last 15-20 years, I've only seen them maybe twice each. But the ones that came out between 1974 and 1996, there's a discrepancy on what year part 4 actually came out. Okay. All right. This video is going to be such a bloody mess. Alright, I'm not going to move the camera again for a few minutes. Because I think that's why it tipped over, was I was moving it too much. Okay. I'm going to put the bit of pepper in. And then I think I'm going to turn this on and put the little bit of pepper I have left, put it away. I'm not kidding, the other video I made, the other cooking video I made with this kind of setup, which will be coming out soon, it went so smoothly. So smoothly. And today, this has just been one weird thing after another. I'm starting to wonder if I was meant to do this. I was going to make this video about 3 weeks ago. And I ended up not making chili. I don't know if I'll put it out as a bonus video later on in the season, or I'll just keep it to myself. But I made a really great recipe, but it wasn't chili. It wasn't chili. I forgot to hit record. Alright, so what I was saying was I'm about to put in half a can of tomato paste, and I'm about to open a can of beans and put the beans in. With the veggie meat, I was supposed to, and I completely forgot, I was supposed to cook the veggie meat first, then remove it from the pan while it was crispy, then cook up the rest of the ingredients and put the veggie meat back in at the end so that the veggie meat does not get mushy. Well, I forgot to do that, and now it's mushy. Alright, stove is turned off for a second. I have just added the tomato paste, about a third of a cup of water, and then I drained and rinsed the beans. Okay, now I'm going to put it on a low setting. It's on a low setting, and I'm going to put in some garlic salt. And a little bit of taco seasoning. I swear, I wasn't meant to do this today. Everything has been going wrong. My camera fell. Well, my phone. I cut my thumb. I cut my thumb. Yep. They're making noise right outside my front door, which is, my front door is right beside my kitchen. So while you can probably hear them outside my front door, they can hear me making this video too. Okay. Now I'm going to let that cook for a little bit. All right. I'm going to let that cook for a little bit, and I'll see you in a half hour, 45 minutes. I really was not meant to do this today. I melted some cheese in, and once again I forgot to turn the camera on. I'm going to put a little bit of sour cream in here too. Just a dollop. Okay. It's been a trying day. That one is... Okay. That is way too hot. I am burning my hands. It's not fair. The last video I made went so smoothly. The transition between moving this phone and tripod back and forth worked perfect. And this one, for some reason today, it just screwed everything up. Okay, well, I'm probably going to burn the roof of my mouth, but let's give this a try. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the beans that I put in was a can of 6 bean mix. I can tell right off the bat. It tastes good. It's the usual recipe I make, but I forgot, as I said, once I ground up the veggie ground round, I forgot to take it out, let it sit, because with veggie ground round, they always tell you to put it in as the last ingredient because liquid will turn it to mush. I have to remember to, that is hot. I'm thinking about the mushrooms here. I cut them fairly small, so they cooked up pretty quickly. Where sometimes you'll get a mushroom that's got more of a meat texture to it because it'll be not too hard or not too soft. It'll be a nice medium. But I cooked these up a little small, so they came out a lot more tender than they normally would. Okay, I've eaten enough on camera. I'm gonna go finish my dinner and hopefully be able to edit this. If you see this video, it means I was able to edit through all this mess. If not, okay, until next time, creeping screams.